real economic challenges we face.
Well, that's simply not true because Donald Trump says he plans to slash rates and cut the number of brackets.
My plan will reduce the current number of brackets from 7 to 3 and dramatically streamline the process.
Specifically, Donald Trump proposes a 15% corporate tax, which is a reduction from 35%. His three tax brackets would be 12%, 25%, and 33% instead of 7. He would end the death tax. He's proposing a fully deductible child care expense, and he will expand energy production by removing a lot of regulations. Now, the liberals and the Democrats and the so-called progressives, they will be quick to say Trump's plan is going to add to the deficit. No, it's not. And here's why. In Washington, D.C., they use an approach to estimating the impact of tax cuts called a static analysis. In a static analysis, they assume that behaviors don't change. And when you do that, you can always prove that if you raise taxes, that it's going to hurt the economy. And if you lower taxes, they try to say it's going to hurt the economy. It is an improper way to evaluate the impact of major tax changes. Static means you don't change your assumptions. Dynamic means you make some assumptions about what the differences might be. So Donald Trump's plan, a credible economist could evaluate its impact because they would use a dynamic analysis where it would basically assume that there are some business behavior changes. If you go from 35% to 15% corporate tax, businesses are going to expand, which means there are going to be more jobs. Manufacturing and production is going to have to increase because you're going to have more people with more jobs, with better jobs, more money to spend. So the retailers are going to have to stock up. Retailers are going to require more deliveries, which means that the truck drivers are going to have more loads to deliver. In a dynamic analysis, you assume that more consumption of farm products globally. And you assume consumer behavior changes. When people have more money, they will spend more money. When people don't have more money, they can't spend more money. And in a dynamic analysis model, you have to make certain assumptions. And usually what you do in a dynamic analysis model, you make some assumptions, but then you also run what they call some scenarios with various options because you don't know what the exact numbers are going to turn out to be. Allow me to give you one very, very, very clear example. Yesterday, I had lunch with some business associates from Arizona. This particular business owner has 70 employees. And as we were talking and finishing up our discussion about our relationship and the businesses that we were going to be involved in together, he made the comment almost in passing, I sure hope Trump gets elected so I can see that 15% corporate tax rate. And then he said, I could hire 7 more people. I said, really? He said, yeah, I could hire 7 more people. That's 10% of his workforce, folks. So what I said was, okay, let's assume that every business in America, most of them that were interested in growing, were able to add 10% more jobs, just 10% more. Now, you can go back and run a scenario assuming 5% more. You can run a scenario assuming 15% more. You can run a scenario assuming 20% more. He didn't know he was giving me the basis for this example that I'm going to share with you. I said, that's a decent number. So using that because that's not an outrageous amount to say that you're going to increase the number of jobs in your business if you are in a position to grow. So I said, if you were going to run a dynamic analysis, why not assume that there would be 10% more jobs per year than we have been creating in the past? In 2015, 2.45 million jobs were created. And if you assume that 10% more would be created each year for 4 years, you're talking about nearly 1 million more jobs in 4 years under a Donald Trump plan. You also have to assume that the median income is going to remain around $50,000. You're going to have to assume that gasoline and food prices remain steady. And you're going to have to assume that no national catastrophes happen or we get in no new wars. And so a good model, a good economist will make those reasonable assumptions and will be able to tell you how it generates growth. Now, without having a model that would basically evaluate it and tell you that, many of us who are business people and who understands how the economy works intuitively know that Donald Trump's plan is not going to be something that's going to increase the deficit. That business friend of mine yesterday can't wait to hire 7 more people. Secondly, a lot of businesses are sitting there hoping they can hang on and not go bankrupt. They're waiting to get a break on the taxes and a reduction in regulations. One of the things that Donald Trump has talked about in his economic speech is a moratorium on regulations. Put the brakes on the EPA that's on steroids and a lot of other federal agencies. And then here's the part that Hillary didn't talk about. And that's the part about how do you begin to reduce spending in Washington, D.C. You begin by exercising the authority that you have as president to demand that every federal agency make a list of waste that they can cut. 26.
We are going to ask every department head in government to provide a list of wasteful spending that we can eliminate in my first 100 days.
And the thing about it is those lists already exist. They've already been developed. They do this every year. But nobody ever does anything about it. So Trump is saying that he wants to do something about it. So the bottom line is you can't compare Hillary's ideas with Donald Trump's because you're comparing apples and oranges. You're comparing apples and oranges. This is why I encourage all of you to get a copy of the Trump card. Because on the Trump card, we show a direct comparison and contrast between the two candidates. You can get those cards at trumpcardcaine.com if you want to order directly. Or if you forget that, you can go to hermancain.com. And we have a mock-up of the Trump card in one of the commentaries entitled Side-by-Side Comparison. It's easy to find. Because on the Trump card, we highlight the 5 most important things that you ought to focus on in making your decision about who you're going to vote for. Not all of the political noise. Not the liberal media trying to put words in Donald Trump's mouth. Not the name calling. Not the S-I-N tactics, S-I-N, where the liberals and the Democrats and Hillary Clinton, they shift the subject, they ignore the facts, and they name call. That's what they do. But the Trump card highlights 5 areas. Trump's proposals are about economic prosperity. Hillary's proposals will create economic stagnation. Trump's proposal is to strengthen the military, rebuild, respect, restore morale. Hillary's approach with what she's talked about is military weakness. Continue to downsize, disrespect the military, and kill morale. Trump's approach is national security. Let good people in, keep bad people out. Declare war on radical Islamic terrorism, and fight to win. America first. Hillary, national insecurity. Let bad people in, don't build the wall. Keep good people out. Deny radical Islamic terrorism. She believes in America last. Trump believes in energy independence. Hillary's approach would be energy dependence. Donald Trump believes that the Constitution should be enforced. Hillary believes that the Constitution can be ignored. Therein lies the difference that you should focus on in making your decision about who you're going to vote for, using economic prosperity math. You're listening to The Herman Cain Show.
Delivering trusted solutions for a better America.
He's telling America what we need to hear and helping to activate everyone in the right direction.
Herman Cain.
Coming up, rapid fire, 877-310-2100 on The Herman Cain Show.